Welcome back to Storytime with Dad Booker. Today we're going to continue on with the next chapter of Matching Pair of Pumps from Soleman, the Healed Avenger. So let's get started. In the rear of a pair of pumps, Lightfoot and Pussyfoot were contemplating their next heist. Pussyfoot was adamant that they had to get the spy shoes. Not only were they stylish, but they could be useful too. Think of all the information we could gather. Lightfoot had to admit she had a point. The shoes were of excellent quality and would complete any suitable ensemble effortlessly. He decided that another theft was neither here nor there. Every theft was a chance they took, but with every scheme they improved their skills and increased their collection. Both had been to Cobbler's Corner and had sketched out the layout of the land. Long, long ago, when they first started out, Lightfoot had worked as a cobbler. His work had been much sought after, and a pair of had even been purchased by Pussyfoot, who wanted comfort aligned with exceptional style. Their combined love of footwear brought them together. Their combined ingenuity and daring made them a formidable pair of wrongdoers. Soleman might have a difficult time dealing with them even with Flats' assistance. That evening, Soleman and Flats were stationed in the rear of Cobbler's Corner. As the owner of the facility, he always had access. Within the confines of the storage room was an 8-foot tall red high-heeled slipper that was periodically used as a display. The two were adjusting the shoes so that one of them could be inside and hidden in the shadows. This became only possible if the shoe was turned towards a wall. Problem was, this eliminated the ability to see the safe where the shoes were secured. A small mirror easily corrected this discrepancy. Stationed inside, Flats lowered down and waited. By squatting, they could position the shoe at a more favorable angle for visibility and swift emergence. Soleman placed himself between two shelves and was promptly lost in the shadows. Now all they had to do was wait. Dressed in tight black and walking in darkness, Lightfoot and Pussyfoot approached the side of the store unseen. They had rehearsed the heist and had equipped themselves for any eventuality. The transom above the door was locked, but that was no hindrance for this pair of professionals. From his belt, Lightfoot pulled a thin, strong metal strip about 6 inches long and an inch wide. Handing it over to Pussyfoot, he cupped his hands together. Pussyfoot stepped into his hands and was raised to be able to stand on his shoulders. The latch for the transom was quickly dealt with and opened. She returned to his hands, and with a mighty heave, he sent her over the transom into the shop. With a flip and a twist in the air, she landed lightly on her feet on a nearby ledge. Opening the door, she gripped a wall fan bracket and assisted Lightfoot to the ledge so that his feet never touched the floor. Excuse me. While Lightfoot was content to either climb or swing as he progressed, Pussyfoot slithered like a snake. Her limber body twisted with ease through and around objects. Before they had changed from circus performers to a life of crime, she had been a contortionist, and Lightfoot had been a trapeze artist. Crime was more dangerous, but it paid better. Arriving at the rear of the store, they moved easily through a second transom and entered the storage area. Pussyfoot glided like a cat to the long light bar near the safe. Her slight weight barely bent the thin metal as she sat centered between the two chains. Lightfoot lowered the light until it was just above the safe. It paid to find out the combination, and with luck, they had never changed it. They had other means of opening it at the ready. And all the time the robbery was in progress, neither Soleman nor Flats had made any effort to stop them, in part because watching them was fascinating to the two men. Their grace and control were marvelous to see. Absorbing as it was, Soleman realized the time for sticking his foot out and tripping up these criminals was almost at hand. Flats saw a glove pointing briefly in the gloom and slowly straightened. Soleman slowly brought out his whip and cuffs. Flats did the same. The gloved hand pointed towards the female with two hands cupped. Flats was ready to prevent Pussyfoot from landing head first on the ground, while Soleman made his way quietly and invisibly to beneath Lightfoot. The safe's combination had not been changed, and she opened it with ease. Just as it opened, Soleman turned on the lights. Blinded and surprised by the sudden illumination, Lightfoot let the rope slip from his grasp. Flats caught Pussyfoot as she fell and guided her so she landed on her feet. He had handcuffs on her before her feet hit the ground. Soleman grabbed Lightfoot's feet to pull him down, but it was hit with a glancing kick from above. Anyone on the outside of this engagement watching would have laughed as Flats was doing a passable imitation of a clog dance as he struggled to avoid Pussyfoot's kicks. Lightfoot leapt off the shelf, landing heavily on top of Soleman and flattening him. As the two fell, they landed and collided with Flats, who went staggering backwards, falling into the large shoe. Caught in the instep, he was wedged and momentarily helpless. Soleman was temporarily stunned by the force of his fall and a kick to the head by Lightfoot. Lightfoot scooped up Pussyfoot and ran to the escape. At the door, they were met by Officer Podolsky, who had been called in by Soleman earlier. His task was to capture the pair if they made an escape. Almost bowled over in the rush from Lightfoot, Officer Podolsky tricked him and had them swiftly captured. The champions of justice came along afterwards as the officer was taking his prisoners to the squad car. Ever since their first encounter, Soleman had taken a friendly interest in Officer Podolsky's future and called him in whenever an extra hand would be useful. Officer Podolsky was on the shoe phone not long after he had left. The pair had escaped and were at large again. He was apologetic and tried to explain how two handcuffed individuals escaped from a squad car. Fact was, he couldn't explain it. Didn't seem possible, and yet they were gone, and he didn't know how or where. Fearful he would lose the goodwill of Soleman and Flats, he offered to drive around longer looking for them. Soleman considered for a moment, then told Podolsky to go home and rest. Since he had come in on his off time, and the shoes were Soleman's own property, there was no need to report anything yet. It was promised that when found, he would be let in on their capture once more. In their lair, the escapees were celebrating their failed apprehension. Not only had they escaped, but sure that Soleman had left, they had returned and retrieved the shoes they had desired. Lightfoot was placing the shoes in a place of honor in their collection. Pussyfoot was finishing the polishing of the golden slipper preparatory to placing it in its own niche. They had quite the collection, and even though a proportion of the items had been purloined, they still had pride in the assemblage. Stepping back, Lightfoot put his arm around Pussyfoot and sighed. Both looked at the empty center space. This ornate cavernous section was to be the resting place of the heart of the collection. The Moon Star Shows by Antonio Vitri. Like the Golden Slipper, it too would be making the rounds of museums and galleries. And like the Golden Slipper, it too would be added to their own collection. By morning, a pair of pumps was vacant and open for rent. Pussyfoot and Lightfoot were preparing for their most ingenious and dangerous and exciting caper yet. Okay, that's it for this chapter. Next one is going to be Bigfoot. So I hope you'll be here for that. I look forward to seeing you again. Have a good day. Be good and be good to yourself.